Welcome to Soul Sessions, your journey of spiritual awakening. Are you searching for deeper meaning in life? Do you feel called to explore the mysteries of the soul consciousness and spiritual growth? Welcome to Soul Sessions with me, Jill Smith from Mainely Mystics, a podcast dedicated to guiding you on your path to awakening. Each episode, we're going to dive into profound topics such as mindfulness, energy healing, meditation, past lives, and the power of intuition. We'll explore ancient wisdom, modern spirituality, and personal stories of transformation to inspire and empower you. Whether you're just beginning your journey or have been walking the spiritual path for years, Soul Sessions is your space for insight, connection, and inner peace. Today on the show, I'm going to welcome my friend back, Randy from Reiki Randy, and we're going to have a little talk today. We're going to talk about the awakening. That's pretty much like one of the first steps on our little soul journey. I'm just going to get my notes back and I'm going to welcome Randy into the conversation. Welcome,
Hello.
Randy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. So I thought today we could start the little podcast off with the main beginning of our spiritual journeys, the one that really shakes us to the core, the awakening. And I'll say a few words about the awakening, and then I'm going to let you chime in and let us know what you think about it. For me, the awakening refers to a profound shift in consciousness, perception, and understanding of oneself and the world. It often describes a spiritual, emotional, or intellectual realization that leads to a deep personal transformation. What do you think about that?
I think that's a pretty good summarization of awakening. First step, though, is always questioning your surroundings and everything that you've been taught.
True that. All right, so I broke down spiritual awakening in a few topics. I know you brought a little information for us to go over. So I'll introduce one aspect of it and we'll go back and forth on that. Does that sound good with you?
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, so we'll talk about the spiritual awaken. That part, the spiritual part of it, the process of becoming aware of a deeper reality beyond the material world. A realization of one's true self beyond ego and societal conditioning. A sense of connection with the universe or a higher power. Some call it God, source, infinite intelligence. What else is there? There's so many
Spirit.
Creator.
That's one I like. That's the old Native American term, creator spirit.
Creator spirit's a good one. Yes, I love creator too.
It's like heaven or the other side, the spiritual realm. Some people call it Valhalla. Others idiom or Elysium, heaven, the spirit world. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all. So when we get awoken in the spiritual aspect of it, our intuition increases, our empathy increases, we get a stronger inner peace. But that comes after. We'll talk later about the dark night of the soul, the infamous dark nights of the soul, right?
Yes.
So I feel like we have a shift in priorities toward purpose, love, and authority. So spiritually, when we wake up, a lot of things change inside us. I think it's an internal part of the journey. What do you think about all that?
I think the internal crystallization matrix, that is the cell of your being, increases in vibration, becomes more in tune to the energy of the planet around you. And so as your DNA, as your cells upgrade and purify is the wrong term, but gain more sensitivity to the surroundings, that you could then become more apt and able to interact with the energy flow around oneself. Like for me, the aura comes in and around. It comes as a big magnetic energy field around the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, when I feel my aura, I start at the top and then I grab that with my perception, imagine a big ball, and then bring it down and around myself. And once you do that a little bit, you can bring it together. Okay, buddy, come on.
He wants to join in. Is it a
He
boy
does.
or a girl? It's a boy, right?
Yeah, it's a boy. Come on.
What's his name?
Mr. Lahey, like Trailer Park Boys.
Oh my God, Mr. Lahey.
And he's like 10, 11 years old.
Oh, look at him. He's adorable. Hello.
Say hi, buddy.
Hello.
And I didn't name him. He was named when he was born. And like I've only known him like 6, 7 months now.
He's your little
he's kept me alive a couple of times. He's a
I
good
love that. Yes. Animals are the best. They're so important. All right. So my second point I brought up, we're going to tie it all together, okay? Is the emotional and psychological part of awakening. Beyond spiritual awakening, we can also experience a psychological or emotional transformation. I know I definitely did. For example, breaking free from limiting beliefs or toxic patterns, gaining clarity about life's meaning and personal purpose, healing from past trauma, stepping into self-empowerment. Now, those are all things, these things don't happen overnight. Just because they say the dark night. This is like a big process. It's
generally a deep series of depressions and then once you finally reach the rock bottom of that depression, everything's finally laid out on a table, and all the things that really matter, that are really important, those reveal themselves, and then you kind of just drop everything else, grab what's the stuff that matters, and run with that until it happens again. And then you're like, oh shit. And your first few spiritual awakenings will feel like the world is changing, because it is. The world that we think is going on with the political systems and the nuclear bombs and all that is all just a show. It's like a bad sitcom, literally designed to distract you from what's actually going on, which is the energy of everything and dogs and stuff. He likes being involved.
That's right.
Because a lot of times dogs and cats and other animals respond to the spiritual activity around you. Watch them interact with spirits all the time and on capture videos on online.
I see it. My cat sees stuff all the time too.
The cats are natural wardens.
Yes, this cat watches. You know, when they stare at the thing and they look at you like, don't you see it? And it's like, no, you need to shoo it out of the room. So this brings us, this is just an overview, and then we're going to get into it. The dark night of the soul and awakening. Often awakening is preceded by the dark night of the soul, a period of deep inner turmoil, questioning, and loss of meaning. This phase can feel isolating and painful, but it serves as a catalyst so profound for growth and enlightenment. So, I mean, that's usually where it starts. Like you said, people, it's deep depression or whatever. And I thought maybe we could talk about our own experiences. Like, I feel like my spiritual journey's been happening since I was born, or probably before.
Well, everyone's spiritual journey has been like that. It's how much you embraced it over the years.
Yeah. So the point, like the idea of awakening, and it's a big term thrown around in society right now, but awakening is more of like, it's to say that like we were asleep to our true selves, like you were just talking about. And then something in life shakes us up, shakes up our regular routine, our day to day, the boring 9 to 5, the society dictate.
The 3D third dimensionality of life.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's like a spirit encounter. Other times that's an animal encounter. I've heard lots of stories of people who see birds that just appear out of nowhere or out of roadkill, and
Mm-hmm.
and they get a message from a spirit that way, because spirits like to work with birds, and they're easiest of all the animals to work with for some
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Birds
They,
are a big symbolism
very
for spirits. Yeah.
like the red cardinal thing. Like after someone
That's
dies,
big when
go up.
someone dies. Yeah, that's a great sign. Those are signs and wonders, and that's a good point. Is I feel like when we start waking up, or when we're on the path to waking up, a lot of people start noticing 1111, 222.
That's the numerical vibration, that reality. So reality is a construct of energies. These energies vibrate at certain frequencies. Numbers is how you measure those frequencies. So certain
Mm-hmm.
numbers respond to certain frequencies. Like, for example, the heart chakra vibrates at 500 or 638, 36 hertz per minute. And if you play a tone of that, it will activate the heart chakra. So like the one number of 1111, 111, although all those are means that energies are strong and apt for manifestation at this time.
Yeah, but people didn't notice this. But when they start waking up, they start seeing it, and they're like, "Is this a coincidence?" Every day I look over
No
at
such thing as
exactly
coincidence.
11:11, or every day I've been looking over at 222, or 333, or 555. Each one of those has a different frequency, if you will, right, and a different
Yep.
meaning in numerology, and it also means something differently personally to each person. So, I mean, for me, 1111 means I'm on the right path.
Mm.
I'm where I should be. I'm back. I'm working my blueprint, my spiritual blueprint. You know what I mean? Or
Yes.
5 is a big number of change for me. So 555, or like 616 is my
Five
spirit.
five five brings in a lot of abundance as well. So when you see lots of 555s when you're with people, that's the vibration of abundance letting you know that it's around. You can make money this way, or abundance is
Oh,
coming this way. Like I went and hung out with a friend of mine who's been growing weed for 30 plus years, and I saw 555 over here. We were hanging out. He gave me a big bag of weed, and so it doesn't have to be monetary.
oh no, that's a whole nother story, dude. Like, no, that's money. No, that's another podcast. We'll do it. I can't think of the word right now. I was just reviewing that whole thing. But yeah, the different numbers have different meanings. It's like when your soul awakens, we awakening is remembering that we are spirits having a human experience, and we aren't humans with a spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're a spirit with a human body for the moment. That spirit can leave and go inhabit a whole host of things that don't necessarily don't have to be human.
Right. And then you become aware of your spirit, and then you become more aware. It goes up. You become aware of your God, the creator, the source,
Mm.
I have having a higher power, a creator. And then what else do we become aware of? So many things, so many things.
One of the things is becoming aware that everyone's connected and everyone's a reflection of yourself. All the bad things you see in other people, that's you projecting on them. So when you're judging someone for what the fuck they're doing, that you don't like what they're doing, you're simultaneously judging a piece of yourself that's either offended or was restricted and now is jealous. It's always comes back to self.
Well, that's the shadow. Shadow's another aspect of it.
Mm.
We
And a certain
awake.
amount of shadow is certainly healthy, but you can also overplay the shadow by a great extent. And some people dive real far deep into their own shadow and never come back.
Oh no, the shadow's ugly. It's an
But
important
it's not
part of
all
the
bad. You
work.
do need to be integrated with the monster inside, because a monster under extreme control is a lot better than a good person that has a monster that comes out on occasion.
Well, I think our shadows are parts of ourselves that were created when we were not mature enough to
Mm.
handle a certain situation, and we were afraid. I think a lot of them are created out of fear, and they're
Mm.
guised as anger, as sadness, as grief, but we were afraid. And So our souls, our psyches created this aspect of us, and it was there to help us survive and get through that time.
Self-preservation.
Mm-hmm. We don't need to look at our shadows as like, that's part of me. And a lot of people that awaken think it's all love and light and everything's
No,
happy go lucky and we're going to be,
it's going into an oil
tooting
spill,
rainbows.
putting your hand into the gunk and sifting through the gunk is like, oh, why is this gunk even here? And you keep sifting and sifting, and you find, oh, that one person who meant the world to me is actually caused me the most trauma I've ever experienced in my life. It's like, oh, now I need to shake the oil off of that. Look at it a little bit. Do a chakra cleanse. Flush that oil out a little bit and start to figure.
Mm-hmm,
If that
mm-hmm.
analogy makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's a lot though, but like the awakening, it happens to all these aspects of us, to us spirit, to us psyche, to just, it's intense, to our body. Body feels it too, because there's actual symptoms. There's so much, it's such a broad subject, isn't it? I thought it could be broken down into 3 categories, but it really can't. So,
and everyone's awakening is unique to themselves as well. Like part of my awakening, like I've been aware of this system and the energies around me for most of my life. Like my mom was fairly psychic. She'd have dreams that would come true.
mm-hmm.
And we always had ghosts and stuff in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So all that sort of spiritual aspect of stuff was there, but I wasn't quite awakening to my own personal power. Like a lot of times, especially those who've been abused, grow up like, oh, I'm just little me. I've never been anything or anyone of any importance, and I'll never be. And then you go and find a truth about yourself, and you're like some big warrior in a past lifetime. And so for me, I will finally stepping up to that. What happened when I reached the Chiron in my natal chart of 28 years old, and I ended up summoning a Viking-esque ancestor spirit, and I got dragged to Norway, Maine to deal with the shit that I hadn't dealt with before yet. And it was really a first stepping into my own personal responsibilities, breaking up with the girl that was my first real love, and we made mistakes, and we ended up just bringing out the worst aspects of each other towards the end of it.
Oh yeah, that happens.
You know how it gets.
Yes, that's no fun. But 28's an interesting age for you, because that's also like around the time your Saturn returns.
Yeah, it's all part of the big system shift, where when you really enter adulthood, I feel is like your late 20s.
So that was
play.
Was finding out about the Viking thing, did that start in Dark Night of the Soul, or was it breaking up with the girlfriend, then you found out about the Viking thing?
Being dragged through situations again and again until I had enough of the situation.
Right.
And so we ended up moving into a flop house. Like when I did the Viking ceremony, we were in her grandma's house, and I was looking for, or she was looking for new work, and I was driving, because this was 2021, and gas was cheap because no one was moving.
Right.
So I was driving a truck at 13 miles to the gallon to a fast food job in like 4 towns over, from Rumford to South Paris.
Right.
And I called in late. It was like right before my 28th birthday. I tried connecting up to all the alien stuff, the spiritual stuff, the ancestor stuff, and summing up what needed to come up right now. I needed an ancestor spirit to help me out now. And the Viking spirit popped up. I ran it through several different psychics that I know, and they all said the same thing: as ancestor spirit. So a Viking, and I got a name of Tyfger. So whenever I interacted with him, I don't know if that's actually what his name was, but that's the name he got. That's what every time I summon him, that's the name I use.
Right.
And I even kind of look like him a little bit. That's just, and like I have like 5-10% Scandinavian DNA, so that 5-10% still has reflexive qualities within even my natural appearance and features.
Right.
But so through Tyfker, I was dragged to Norway. The only place we could find that would take us was a flop house, where it was $500 a month for a room, and then it shared bathroom accommodations. And, you know, there's always lots of nefarious addict type people running around the building, and you know, being put through that much stress over and over and over again brought us to the brink enough for me to just say we're not right for each other anymore.
Yes, yes.
Although even though I knew that, and I, like 6 years before, I knew it was like, oh well, this isn't going to work out. But I kept trying and kept trying because it's still a better relationship than my parents.
So when you had the dark night of the soul, did you realize that your parents' relationship isn't the ruler for your future relationships? Like, did that break
the bar to compare everything to?
Yeah, but I mean, it's natural though. We live what we learn, right?
Yeah. Well, every child worships their parents and thinks they have all the answers.
Usually, yeah, when you're innocent.
So even if they
until you're a teenager, though,
you still think you have all the answers. Yeah, until it's you have none of the answers.
I know, because I had 3 of those teenage cretins.
Poor thing. I'm sorry.
They
I wasn't
say
a terrible teenager, but I was a mouthy son of a bitch.
Well, teenagers, you know, we all have been them. We've all been them, and I was a wretched teenager. Oh my God, I was awful.
You were a handful in the 80s.
I was terrible. So my kids were angels compared to me, but still, it's a natural stage where they're trying to find their own identity separate from their parents. So that's
they
the
go
stage.
Through their first traumatic experiences without the parents that they try to keep from the parent.
But I think there's a conditioning factor psychologically that you learn from what you see growing up, and this is what relationship looks like. This is, you know, and this is what it doesn't look like, or this
and
is
that's how it's programmed,
normal.
that you seek
acceptable. So regardless of your adolescent rebellion or not, I think this programming, it's the program, and that brings us back to the awakening. Is when we awaken,
breaking out of that program and determining where the positive aspects of your own natural programming are, and finding out the exaltations and bringing those out to the front.
Yeah, that's when you're awakened to the fact that there is programming. Wait a minute, like you realize,
and that's just programming from your parents and their toxic behaviors. We have programming from corporations trying to get you to buy stuff, from governments trying to keep you in line.
We're bombarded 24/7.
Oh yeah, continuously. I developed a technique where I don't even notice sale signs. Like, and it's been that way since I was a teenager. Like, I just don't, like, you see a big red sticker with like a percentile off or something.
Oh
and
my
like they
God.
won't, and sometimes I'll put vital information on those stickers, and like I'll be walking by and I will not see it at all. TV goes on a commercial, I'll just tune right out, and when it shows back on, I was like, oh, it's back on, and I tune back in. And that's a form of meditative state, and I didn't know I was doing that until I learned more about meditative states. And like, it's similar to the zone when a guy's doing manual labor, like stacking wood or working a machine at work, and then you kind of zone out and you do work while not paying attention. That's a meditative state as well.
Yes,
like people use meditation and mental states of mind all the time, and they just use it. That's just the zone you get in while you're working. It's like
that's real. Absolutely. So yeah, that's what happens when we awaken. We awaken to the fact that we've been programmed by these things, and maybe the soul inside of us doesn't agree with all this programming. Maybe this programming and these adults that were in charge of us growing up were broken themselves. They were, you know what I mean? They were programmed by the wrong friggin'
with the broken pieces.
Yes, because it's been one generation after the other. So a big part of awakening too is ancestral generational healing, where you can go back and you can heal 7 generations before and 7 generations after. That's a heavy duty thing for a soul to take on in this lifetime.
Yeah.
But that's a whole
incarnated right now is a badass.
Yes.
Just being alive right now, because everyone's like a little electrode transistor. And so when the energy goes into you, it's kind of vibrating with you, and then and on top of that, you're also bringing in energy on your own into that same energy field as it transits around. So the more energy you bring in, the more transistor energy you filter through back into the system. So like when groups of people get together and meditate, activate their energies, call forth a whole bunch of energy from the planet and from the creator spirit or the sun. You can do the sun too. You know something else that's fun that I found out? So all the archangels are representative and beings that are the souls of the planets. So like Archangel Michael is the soul of the sun. So if you worship the sun, you're worshiping Archangel Michael because one and the same.
Michael is my man. I know
he's a lot of people's OG.
Oh my God, Michael is 24/7. This is what I tell poor Michael. I put him to work. When I'm doing when I go do fairs or something, and think of all the people that come to me, and I say, listen, Michael works 24/7. I don't know if you believe in angels or you don't, but if you're in this situation, you can call him and you can say, hey, Michael, 24/7, you got me, you know? So yeah, I've put him to work too many times, but listen,
he's my primary guardian spirit that I use as the officiator for most of my ceremonies.
I love Michael.
Then I'll activate other archangels as I want them, and then I'll bring in my spirit animal, and then I'll bring in other animals as I want them. Then energy. I like to do river healing, which you can float in like a slow spot of the river, and then you kind of connect everything on, and then you connect down into the plant. Then you connect to the spirit of the river, and you kind of just float there on like a pool noodle or one of those donuts.
Oh, water's, oh my goodness, water's great. Like I told you, I'm big on the ocean. I remember even as a little kid, like they'd make me go to the beach. Oh boy, poor me. No one's making me go to the beach as a grown-up, damn it. But as a kid, I was like, I want to stay home. So anyway, I'd go and you couldn't get me out of the water, but I'd float on my back. And I remember thinking about the water and feeling connected. I didn't even know what I was. I didn't realize this was a spiritual moment I had as a little kid. But the sun was there, the ocean, I was floating in it. And I just felt so poetic is the best word I could come up with at that age. But it was deep. I had a moment. With Creator there. But the water is
to source creation for the first time.
Yeah, it's very powerful water. That's where we met on that river. We met on the river, you and I, the riverboat.
That's right.
The energy there for doing readings and stuff.
I was so
awesome.
hoping the riverboat was going on. I was sweating so hard because it was so humid that day.
Yeah, it was.
We're just running the space. It's not moving. Like, fuck.
I know it. When I first did it, I thought it was going to go out too. It was weird that it didn't. But it was still cool because
it didn't go out, and it was like, shit.
I know, but did you find the energy of the water like you were doing? Reiki? I was doing readings. Yeah, it was intense. It was really good. I thought it was excellent.
One of the main aspects of doing energy healing is I always like to call in the energies of the planet around. So if we're on, like New Hampshire has a lot of masculine rock energy. Like early New Hampshire, very masculine rock, and whenever you connect to the energies there and clear away the addict junkie energy that resides, it's like mill fog on everything, you know. I just push through that, and then you get down deep, and it's a real masculine energy because I grew up next to the Androscoggin River, and it's a very feminine river, which people think I'm insane by saying that, but all the spirits sound feminine. Like I traveled far to New Hampshire, and the spirits all sound male. Like I just thought that's how I heard things in my head. No, that's the style of spirit in that area.
It's the dominant energy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's real. Energy's real. But that's what we wake up to too. I mean, awakening is a huge subject. We're obviously not going to cover it all here, but it's just it's a place to start. It's what's happening to people. You know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at it.
As the system crumbles before us, everyone's given the opportunity to ascend. It's like, oh, this is all the bullshit we were seeing. This is all what we were told. Like the mainstream media is all CIA, a mind control. There's no real independent. They all say the same things. The red, the white, the independent. So that's why everyone's going to like podcasts to get their news and information now, because we've lost faith in mass in mainstream media. And there's still
Well,
people who think,
Hollywood's crumbling. What's
oh yeah,
happening?
Hollywood, all
Society,
the news agencies.
yeah, society as a collective. I'm not just talking America, I'm talking the whole world. Society, humanity as a collective. How's that? The collective of humanity is waking up. The planet is waking up. We're ascending to the fifth dimension. It's going to be our base dimension where we're at the third dimension. But there's a whole nother, that's a whole nother story too. I mean, we could
Yeah.
go off
So if we
all
want to
day.
explain the dimensions real quick, we have mental capacity to imagine first dimension, which is just a point. Second dimension, distance between points, and then you can make pictures with second dimension. Third dimension, it gets extra fun, and you get the x-axis, and you get 3D, and everything is round and can interact with it. 4D is a spiritual connection between everyone. 5D is a point where you can start reading other people's thoughts and minds, and we're all aware of the same. If we're all on the same page, like a tribe of humans, be on the same page at the same time at all times, connected via like a Wi-Fi neural network with their brains. And like your pets, would you be able to tell? I hear that most dogs and cats already operate on a neural network style of system, and that's how they communicate for the vast majority of their interactions.
I was thinking that like the first dimension is actually the crystalline core of Mother Earth, and I feel like
That's a good way of putting it.
we've cut that out, and then the second dimension, I forget what it is, and then we come to the 3D. So we have been living in 3D with ignoring the first and the second dimension, first of all. And then I feel like the fourth dimension is the collective emotion. I feel like that's where war stems from. That's where it's coming from. And then the 5D is where we're headed to, where we're back to our original language of telepathy, of we're back into our energy. We are energy vibrating at a certain frequency, and we appear solid. And I can't grasp that. I mean, that bends my mind like a pretzel.
All right,
But
think of it this way. So meat's kind of like jelly, right, or gelatin. So
yeah.
what is gelatin or Jello?
What the
It's
hell is
water
it?
mixed with sugar, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
sugar provides enough crystalline matrix to make it a solid. Yet it's still all jiggly and wiggly, but it's still technically a solid. So your meat, and that's made out of sugars and proteins. And so you as a being is also made out of sugars and proteins that are collected in a certain way that all the genome keys and the I Ching and the human design activate and deactivate, and that makes you. And so all those DNA proteins, the DNA is made out of proteins, and each one of these proteins of vibrate, or these protein chains that make up DNA, because you got your
Right.
A, C, B, C, all those things that activate, deactivate. And so we're always used to seeing the DNA helix from the front as it's spinning. But when you look down the DNA helix, like you can see it makes the same patterns as somatic or sound frequencies. So you can vibrate your DNA with the sound frequencies. So take modern musical scales all set off of a 440 hertz frequency uh, bass. And I think they did that in like the 30s or 40s or 20s or something like that. And so you want that the number of the frequency that is based off of to be a 9, because 9 brings back to the spiritual aspect of everything. The 369 code, one leads to another and to another, and 9 is the eventual totality of the energy manifestation. And so when you're governing frequencies, the base frequency needs to end up being a 9, and 440 ends on an 8. So immediately they're taking the musical spectrum and tweaking it just a little bit. So when you listen to it, instead of enhancing your consciousness, it suppresses your consciousness. And this is where you get things like music that glorifies violence and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all the negative aspects of society. And they're literally programming massive portions of the population under their own free will, I might add you, because it's all just entertainment. And they're using that to not only program the subconscious, but also the DNA of the people. So after multi-generations of this same thing, it gets embedded. And Kanye West, for example, he talks
And
about
this is the
808
programming, right? This
is part
programming.
of acoustic programming within the musical industry. How the rumors of the CIA pulling the strings of the music industry. This is one of those techniques. Then, of course, he used pop stars and put them through absolute hell as part of their contracts and make them the perfect prism to channel energy in a damaged, addictive state to help get other people in a damaged, addictive state. Because, you know, super famous people are always doing some crazy shit.
But who are they? They are, okay?
People in power who want to fuck
So
with the
yeah,
masses.
but these are the people that are determined to not let the Great Awakening happen.
Right.
These are the
These are
people
like
that are
the John
holding
D.
on.
Rockefellers of the world.
This is what's happening, though.
The Bill
These are
Gates.
the people that don't want us to wake up. The they behind the curtain. The you know what I'm saying? The wizard behind the curtain. They're the ones.
Yes.
They're attached to the 3D. These are the
And
people that want 3D forever. And that's what we're awakening to, the fact that no, we got to fix this. We aren't here for
their
this.
3D way is war and destruction. And that's the old system that we're moving away from, and we're moving with the age of Aquarius and everything into the age of enlightenment, into the age of peaceful cohabitation amongst all peoples. And it's a whole new way of doing things where we don't have to settle everything with murderous violence anymore, even though plenty of people still try to.
But we're not.
And on a global scale, society is safer than it's been at any other point previously. We just have all the bad aspects of everything shoved in our face continually, thanks to our rectangles of infinite stress.
But but you need that damn thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've constructed our entire society around it.
That's all I need when I leave my house. I can pay for things with that. I can do everything with that. It's awful. But
that also leads into blue light. So you know how the computer screens, when they break down, it's blue light, and the same thing with TV screens, it's blue light. So blue light programs your brain. So whatever they're showing you, you're programming your brain into a more reinforced setting. So whatever media you're consuming, you are being programmed by the commercials who are designed to operate at peak efficiency on that blue range spectrum. And you're also programming what you're watching. Like say you're watching a war movie, you are engaged in that activity of a war movie, so you're projecting more war energy out into the environment, and as a result, you then empower inadvertently the more warmongery aspects of society and global conflicts, which is kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So like when people watch shows about drama or cheating or whatever it is that they get into, they're inadvertently a lot of times reinforcing those energy patterns on the planet itself. And another
watching anything lowers your vibrational frequency.
Or just about, yeah.
Every movie you watch, you're lowered down to like 150 hertz or some crap, because you're going down to that. But we like that. We like the escape. You know.
Now might be a good time to bring up the talking points in the background.
Let me do the tools of awakening, and then we'll do that, okay?
All right, sounds like a plan.
All right, so we got to have some tools for this journey, right? Meditation, journaling, spending time in nature.
That's a big one.
You were talking about the river.
To nature when you're in it. When you're surrounded by the concrete jungle and there's not much nature around.
Oh my God, yes.
You kind of have to physically push yourself to connect. And by physically, I mean like get into a position that works for you. I have a lot of back issues, so I lay down for my meditations. And so I reach after I get the energy ball at the top of my head and become aware of all the my auric field around me, I push that in the form of like roots, or you can do like rebar. It's just energy, so you can form into whatever shape or appearance you want. Snakes burrowing into the ground.
I
Or
do the roots.
yeah, its roots are most common. It's usually pretty easy. It's free form. You can't get too mixed up with it. And then you reach that down into the plant. And if you want to go down for bonus points, reach the core of the plant and wrap those roots around it.
Yes, that's what I
And like
always
for
do,
a
to
lot of people
ground.
who are having panic attacks and stuff, that's the best thing you can do at that moment, because you're having a panic attack because you're ungrounded, and so you're just bouncing off of that energetic surface in a back and forth
Yeah, you can do a visualization
frequency.
with some breath work, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's huge. A lot of the tools that help, that we use through awakening also help with things like anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
all that. I find meditation to be a huge healer of PTSD. I think a lot of them help with trauma when you've had trauma, and who hasn't at this point in
Everyone
society.
deals with
Oh my
trauma.
God. Yeah, it's different to everybody, to everyone. Like, we all have
Yep.
different
Everyone takes their
levels.
trauma a different way because it's filtered through their frequency of perception. And the frequency
Hmm.
of perception is determined by their birth chart.
Yeah, they're all, some of us can tolerate a little more. So it's also important to connect with spiritual communities,
Hmm. Yeah, we are
exploring.
beings, tribal beings. We need communication is key.
Yeah, we do. We do need others. We need other like-minded people, or other people going through things, or people that can guide us too. You know what I mean?
And we need to be
Uh,
willing to reach across borders and everything. Just because
hmm.
someone either believes a thing differently than you or looks a little bit different, you should always approach it with the middle ground of acceptance and what's the word I'm looking for? Humility. No one's better than anybody else.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, what's it going to hurt you to learn something new?
Yeah,
You,
you are another me. So
hmm.
if my light ball was dropped into your body and given your life path, it would be in the same spot you were, because
Hmm.
it's went through the same shit with the same
Exactly.
program.
So we can read spiritual books, right? Look at different
Oh yeah,
texts.
gaining knowledge.
You can seek guidance from a teacher or mentor. That's a good one to get. Like, a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people on the spiritual journey go for Reiki first. I found that to be very common, at
Well,
least.
the self healing journey of Reiki is usually a key for the very first step in fixing all of that.
Well, it helps you heal
Yeah.
thyself. Like, I took Reiki one, and then it was at least a year before I went back to take two, and go on to my master's, because, and that wasn't even touching the surface of the healing I need. I mean, I've transformed myself physically,
Hmm.
spiritually, mentally. I mean, there's still traumas that come up. There's still little bursts and this and that. I think it's a
Right. You
lifelong
still react
journey.
sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
Reiki was my
I see those
beginning.
reactions as little tests. How you do with your test this time around.
Well, I'm a lot more aware. Before, it was everyone around me's fault. Now it's like, oh my God, what brought that out of me? What part of me is unhealed, or what part
Hmm.
of me needs to be brought to the light? The shadows that were created to protect us. We need to befriend them. We need to bring them out to the light and realize that they're nothing but
And
some
usually for me, it's just a crying little boy that needs a hug.
the inner child work is huge. That's a huge good
Yeah,
thing you
exactly.
said that. That's big on the awakening journey. And there's so many beautiful guided meditations available on YouTube even.
Oh
I've
yeah,
been, yes, and you
I
go
need to put it through my
within.
own as well.
Yeah, that's a good, that's a really good place to go to create some meditations. It'd be awesome. Much needed too. And the inner child one is just, I started with that one too. I remember that was a
Yeah.
good one. I
And
love.
nowadays, with everyone having access to a cell phone from the age of like 6, like people are getting traumatized at an earlier and earlier age on average. Not just the people who have to live with shit in their own home.
There's so much. Yeah, it's a crazy. It's a world built on war. It's a society
Yeah.
that's springing forth from war. Fortunately, we have little star seeds being born, and there's beings coming to the planet to raise the vibration in spite of,
Absolutely.
or
It's about 20% of all people, a whole Starseed initiative of people who associated with are normally incarnate as beings from different worlds or different planetary alignments and governments. And they have a higher vibration because Earth is the negative plane of existence where you can go and learn the tough lessons in existence.
Yeah, I call it the hub, but that's
It's like MIT of soul learning. So you can
yes,
put in 60, 70 years here, enough learning in lifetime that would take you several lifetimes, each lasting 300 to 500 years on other planets. So you can
exactly.
condense a lot into one lifetime, and that's why life is always one thing after another, after another, after another.
Very true.
Because it's a lot.
we gotta do a podcast dedicated just to
Right.
aliens.
That deserves its own whole dedication.
No, I think it
But
does, and I think we got to invite David on that one because he's been watching Ancient Aliens forever,
he's
and
been
he
getting into
was
it.
yeah, and I've watched it and I've learned things, and he was surprised that I didn't know this stuff because I act like I'm so woke. I don't go around saying I'm so woke, but
You know a few things and you know how to say them.
yeah, but aliens is fascinating. I love the aliens. I believe, of course, they're friggin' aliens, okay? That's what I have to say right now. So when you wake up, people, we'll talk about it. We're going to
Yeah,
talk
and the
about it,
aliens are
though.
highly spiritually advanced. And once you get to the point where you can speak to people in your head, you can speak to aliens.
Well, I feel like you can channel them.
Oh yeah, all the time. Half the
Mhm.
spirits people channel are actually just ETs chilling. The whole
There's so
concept,
many.
the whole concept of gods that you pray to and get answers from comes from in the previous existences and civilizations that no longer are around, communicating with higher beings from different world. And then it get complicated.
They're up in the I believe it's like the 10th. It's
It
like
depends on the species. The closest one, and actually humans were spliced with Neanderthals and this other species that are predominantly from the Pleiades. Their home planet no longer exists. They lost that in a big war, and they had to go and settle a whole bunch of other planets. Earth being among one of those, but this happened over 1,000,000 years ago, and so there's hundreds of planets that there are Earth-like beings that look like humans on them, scattered throughout the world or this galaxy.
yeah, the
And
Pleiadians
there's
are up in the 10th dimension, I believe. They're
they
higher.
run the gamut from fifth dimension all the way up to 10th,
Yeah, they're
where
way up
like
there, and
the highest
we
you
can
can go is
channel
12.
them. Yeah, 12 is the highest we can comprehend.
Yeah, and then archangels work on was it 11th dimension? They're just the next level down.
I only learned to the 10th dimension, but there is information about the other two. And that's because we can only comprehend up to 12 as humans. I've
Yeah, we can
heard.
only experience up to fifth.
I've got this whole new program we're going to talk.
Yeah.
It's like when the student's ready, the teacher will appear, which is another aspect of awakening that I did want to mention to people is what I find on my path is whenever I'm ready for a new lesson, is it a lesson? Is it a new level? Is it a new remembering? Because a lot of this stuff resonates
It's
with me.
whatever you tell yourself it is. And
Yeah.
energy and experience will change to fit your perception.
For like every resource on a certain topic or whatever, okay? Then a new teacher appears, be it through YouTube, be it through a book, be it through whatever. And the spirit realm has a way of they know your algorithm, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they bring you what you need when you're ready for it. And that's what I'm on now is this whole dimension thing. It's just started today. And then there's another aspect of it. And I hate talking about things when I'm just learning them. But
Right. You just figured out, so it's all still very new.
It's very new to me, but it all resonates. Like, this is the part of awakening. It's like re-remembering. It's like we already know all
Oh,
this stuff.
this is so familiar, and it's so easy
Mm-hmm.
once you start playing with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the veil was put there, and now the
Mm.
veil's being lifted little by little.
Well,
It's
things things pop up like that because now your aura, your soul, you're vibrating in that realm of acceptance, and that you're ready for that knowledge. So in the grand scheme, like the great puddle, the
mm-hmm.
answers kind of vibrate back to you.
Yeah, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and that has not failed me yet. And another lesson that I have to mention that I'm still butthurt about is divine timing. I'm just going to say, you'll learn all these things on your journey if you haven't already. If you
Mhm.
have, you know what I'm talking about.
Things happen when they're ready. Doors just swing open naturally at points in time. You
They
can either walk
do.
through them or stay stuck where you are and repeat the hallway cycle again.
Oh, yeah, I can't even with that stuff. But I did a lot of that before I was woke. It just kept
Yeah,
coming
well,
and
when we're
coming
going
and
through the
coming.
spiral, everyone talks about spiraling, but every time you learn the lesson a little bit more, so you're spiraling up, and once you get high enough, you can get off of the pattern. So even when people are doing their loops of their bullshit, say like the girl's going from the boy to another boy who's exactly like that boy, she'll figure it out eventually.
That's what happens. So with the relationships is the person is vibrating. Did you watch my tarot readings? I yell at people about this because you need time. You know, if I come from this relationship, say a toxic person or narcissistic person, and I'm freshly out of that, who do you think's going to be attracted to me? Because I'm
More
vibrating at that
narcissistic,
level.
toxic people.
Yes. And it sounds so cliche that you need to take time, you need to allow yourself to heal.
You
It's
do.
more than just that. It's you need to get the hell out of this vibration. You need to cleanse, you need to go, you got to learn from
Mhm.
this, because if you jump back out there, it's a different suit, but it's the same exact crap all over again. You're just going to keep going and going and going, and it doesn't
And
get better.
sexual energy is the most powerful type of manifesting energy. So if you're busy getting off on this whole cycle of abuse, you're just only putting up more of that energy for it to come back to you in the same manner.
Yeah, it's just that's oh my god, that's I yell at people in I don't even know who I'm yelling at, but I'm like, don't keep doing this. What's this? Because it's sad. It's sad that you got to invest whatever time. If you spent 20 years with a jerk, give yourself freaking a year and then check in and see
Mhm.
if you're ready. Love never comes when you're chasing it. It comes when you're freaking
Oh yeah, you got to vibrate at your own chill frequency, and other things that vibrate that are compatible with that chill frequency just pop up.
yeah. It's attraction. It's a law of attraction.
Mm.
But people think this, blah, 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 well, you got to learn the hard way. That's my pet
Always.
peeve. My pet
I've been
peeve.
told
Yeah.
so many times how to do something, and then I can't fucking do it until I just get in and jump in and do it because I just gotta learn the hard way. It's kind
So,
of like putting
well,
your head in
yeah.
the ceiling fan and bap, 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 bap. Oh, got it. Third
Yeah.
time's the charm, 4 times. Although we all know people who's like it's the 60th time and still not kicking in.
It's hard, though. It's part of the journey, right? Like, I'm not going to say I
It is.
didn't
It
do it.
is.
I went from one bad vibration to the other, to the other, to the other. And
Mhm.
it's like, whatever. And then I finally took a 6-year hiatus and I had fun.
And you
I,
figured some stuff out in those 6 years.
Boy, did I ever. Boy, did. And that was a big dark night of the soul for me. First my mom passed, right?
Oh, that's always
And
hard.
yeah, that was a hard
My
one.
condolences, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, it was back in 16, right? So she passed, and then that was May. And then in January, my dad fell and broke his hip and was in the apartment by himself and found. So
Mhm.
that was, and that led to a rehab, led to sepsis. And then he passed the next May, right? But when my dad fell in January, my husband of 10 years walked out and ghosted me and the kids up in the mountains in New Hampshire. So from January to May, I'm going back and forth 4-hour drives from New Hampshire to Mass to help my dad and support my dad. And then he gets sepsis and then he
I think you
dies.
can only do that for so long because that's hard to do.
I did that right to the end. I was there holding his hand when he passed. I was there holding my mom's hand. I'm grateful for those experiences. But this was boom, boom, boom. My life was shook up, shaken up to the core. I could no longer look outside of me. I had to go within.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because when that husband left me, that ripped a piece of I'm losing my mom, my dad, my person who I thought would never leave. And here I am. And now I really had to open my eyes and look at my life. And that was a dark night of the soul for me. And that led me on a spiritual journey, and it didn't go smooth. It's not linear. It's in and out, back and forth. I tried to escape into a relationship right away. I tried to fill that hole. And boy, did I pay for that one. You know what I mean? That was a big mistake. But this is the dark
You're busy
night of
filling the
soul.
hole and not the soul.
Oh my God, it was stupidness. But it's okay. It was rebounding. It was part of the thing. But it's proof again that if you're vibrating here, you're not going to attract what I was ready for right now, right here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not, when I preach at these people, I'm not, I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I know what's going on. I know the pain. I know the self.
I've been there, done that. Here's the end of the tunnel. I found it if you want to come with.
Yeah, I've shot myself in the foot enough to save you a couple of doctor's visits. You know what I mean? That's all it is. That's my passion. But that's the dark night of the soul shit. There's the stuff that rips pieces, part of your life that you just thought you just took for granted sometimes, and I don't know, things that were blocking you from looking at what's going on. I don't know what it is, but it turns you inward. And you have to look at yourself, and you take a look, and you take a big inventory around. And it's usually big things. A lot of people experience someone dying, someone leaving, a breakup, homelessness, whatever it is, job loss. It's usually something external from the matrix that just falls apart, and it causes us to wake up and start looking around. And that's the dark night of the soul. So important considerations when we go through the dark night of the soul is to be patient. This is a process. Allow yourself time to explore and integrate new experiences, right?
Yes.
Embrace discomfort. Oh my God, get people to do that. Be open to facing your emotions. So there's going to be a lot of emotions. There's going to be some traumas. There's going to be some shadows.
Everyone loves running from emotions. That's why we have so many addicts. That and physical pain, because our society loves breaking people, giving them 2 weeks worth of an opioid, and then suddenly they're in chronic pain and they don't have any way to take care of it because they got a 2-week subscription.
Yeah,
and then people end up turning to things like heroin and fentanyl to numb their pain.
And that's a good point too. I mean, I don't know the statistics on it, but when you go through the dark night of the soul and awaken, and you don't have anyone around you to guide you, could turn to something like drugs to fill that pain, drugs, and sex, to mask alcohol, to any addiction. Yes. And that could be a red flag for you, but there are communities, there are other ways in the world to do. And we got to practice self-care and self-compassion. It's very important. We need to learn to be
beating yourself up all the time.
Yeah, we can't be using
hard lessons I learned repeatedly.
You got to be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, right? The world is rough enough out there, don't you think? But you had a few points we could talk on, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions. You ready to look at those?
Let's do
that. All right. The rules for being human, handed down from ancient Sanskrit.
So
go ahead.
These were translated from Sumerian tablets of old Sumer, which is Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, those areas now. The old Fertile Crescent of the Euphrates River, I do believe.
Mm-hmm. Is Sanskrit like one of the oldest languages too? I don't
It's the
know.
oldest language that we know of at
Mm-hmm.
current date.
Okay, I
I
thought
think
that.
there was a big global civilization like 5,000 years before this civilization, but
Mm-hmm.
everything's been crumbled to stone for so long
Oh,
that it's
I
hard
know.
to see all
Yeah.
the details. But lesson one from the ancients, you will receive a body. Notice that there's a distinction that you are not the body. There, you are something that gets a body. So you are a soul, and then you will learn lessons once you get this body. This will be the lessons that you learn in life. People call this the karma you're born with, the uh, personal lessons that you've got with people that you've encountered in lifetime after lifetime, and
Mm-hmm.
work through things with that. Uh, there are no mistakes, only lessons. Even the most traumatic experience of your life uh, is a lesson to learn from. And the longer you
Mm-hmm.
play the victim stream, the longer it's gonna hurt. Because only
True
you can
that.
help you.
Yes.
And then a lesson will be repeated until it is learned. This is why we
Ugh.
go through cycles.
That's
This
a
is
painful
why
one.
you
That's
jump out
a
of the
painful
frying pan and
one.
into the fire over and over again.
Yes,
You're just jumping
yes.
on the coals when you need to learn how to jump out of the fire.
True.
And then learning lessons does not end. There are always going to be another fire to jump into. But you will learn. But the measurement of life is learning how to jump out of the fire as quick as possible. And it's not in this analogy. Not every fire is going to be bad either.
Right.
It's like the creative learning force is not always the most traumatic lesson possible. Others are just learning empathy from a different point of view. Learning lessons do not end. There is no better than here. There is no better than here because you are currently experiencing your own mental capacity and perception from your current state. So if you go to someplace else, you will have that same current state and mentality, or even if you're say rich. This is why people say the rich are miserable because they spend all that time getting money and no one wants anything to do with them except if it revolves around something to do with their money.
Right.
And so they actually end up being miserable, even though they can go anywhere in the world and have any sort of resources because they built a life that didn't fulfill them internally and bring them joy. And that
Mm-hmm.
others are merely mirrors of you. You will only see the parts of yourself in others that you hate. So everyone that you dislike, there's something in yourself that you are seeing in them that you hate in yourself and then are projecting.
Well, I think we'll see things in other people that we admire about ourselves too. Don't you?
That's another one of those things that's not necessarily a negative one-way street that represents the positive aspects in people too.
I think it's like a point in which when you see things in people that irk you and drive you, like get a real emotion out of you, because say,
Yeah, for no reason.
why am I so attached to this about them? And then we got to look within. A lot of these are yucky, but you know what I'm saying? But it's
Mm-hmm.
true. It's part of the journey. It's part of the work. It's part of what we're here for. So it gets you to look inside yourself and say,
Mm-hmm.
so why am I against this? Why am I against that? Because there's a part of us that's unhealed around that issue or that characteristic or we
Mm-hmm.
could be jealous, or we could think, who do they think they are? I
Right.
want that. You know what I mean? But I can't get that because that doesn't fit who I am, or whatever little childish or whatever the reason. That does happen a lot. And that's the mirroring too, that they're all connected.
On to 8. What you make of life is up to you. You are the
Mm-hmm.
player character from your own personal point of view. Uh, Depending on how much autonomy you have, some people I would describe as NPCs or non-player characters. They are in the system. They don't want it to change. They live in it. They have no concept of anything other than the system, which in our society would be news media, American government. There's no such thing as a shadow government that controls things in the background, any of that stuff.
They're deeply asleep still. They're definitely not woke.
Exactly. So, or you could be highly awake and look for all the little cracks and crevices and chinks and glitches within the energy matrix that surrounds everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes back to like there's two wolves inside you, a good wolf and a bad wolf. Whichever wolf wins is whichever one you feed it. So, you know, whatever you put your attention to, whatever actions you do that reverberate to your positive goal, comes about. You can't always be complaining, and then not do anything and expect things to change for you, you know?
Right. And what you make of your life is up to you. We're given free will, right?
Exactly.
And then we're given freedom. Okay. And I recently heard it explained like this, and it kind of resonated with me. We have the free will to be selfish and to serve ourselves and to serve our own needs and to do all that. But we have the freedom to do it, to connect with divine source creator and share, to look at our neighbors and say, to have the we mentality, to do it with love, to do it with those things. So we do have free will and we can do what we want to do with it. But I think the free will can be misused a lot to be selfish.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where the freedom,
especially people who are new to, like people who've been dominated or controlled their entire lives, and they suddenly get free will. Oftentimes implode. They have no idea how not to be in that sort of situation. I've seen people who were abused by a partner get free of the partner and then immediately go down the crack addict tube. All you had to do was not do that. It would have been fine. But no, you had to do that. Well, that's everyone's own journey.
Exactly.
And life is exactly what you think it is. Because life is full of is created of energy, and your perception shapes that energy. So if
because we're all creators.
You're vibrating at that victim mentality that they're going to get me, they're going to get me, they're going to get me. So you naturally bring in the environment of people who want to get you.
We're all little creators.
Yeah. Or you could be at the I am loved by everyone. I am full of love and joy. And this goes up to another reason why they're always trying to program us through hate, violence, and rage, through media, music, and general signal waves that they play in the background of TV programs, even. So they want you to think that life is one way or the other, or you have to go over that hill and kill the next man in the village and take his stuff because the rich man in the big brick castle says so.
It's awful. I agree.
And your answers lie inside you. You made a life path for yourself before you incarnated as a glowing ball of light stuffed in a meat suit. You planned out every possible option, plan, tracked for your life before you ever incarnated inside your mother's womb. And so when you look inside yourself, the answers are already there. You have yourself, your guides, your higher self, which is as you go through all these different cycles of life, your higher self is your most closest to 12th dimensional time, because time is also an illusion in an incarnation stream. And so you have access to every lifetime you've ever lived simultaneously right now, because it's all technically happening at the same time. And then you can also get into alternate timelines where there's events going on that you could have been a part of or not a part of based on certain actions. You get these with like people like, oh, if I took one more turn, I would have been part of that big bridge collapse. Or if because you stayed in one spot, you got rear-ended. Those sorts of things.
Those fork in the road moments too.
Right. When World War One, before World War One, when was some Serbian kid who was 20 some odd years old shot an archduke from France, and then suddenly in a matter of a month everyone's shooting each other. Just one assassination sent the whole world down a train of destruction.
Awful, isn't it?
And the powers that be always love profiting off of war.
Yes, we are. flooded with war.
Negative aliens actually hover around big battlefields and stuff and feed off of all the hate and negativity
No,
and suffering.
the loosh. They create the loosh for them. They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's
their joy, entertainment, and sustenance in some cases.
It's like the reverse.
The only way you can describe it is demonic.
It is awful because I just can't.
And now, also remember, next line, you will forget all of this.
I know, that's lousy. Well, that's good and that's lousy.
How are you supposed to have fun with the video game if you know how the video game ends?
That's true. But you gotta, don't you think we take some of it with us?
Oh, yeah, we take the basic tools. It's like taking a spoon and a tin can with you into prison and gouging at the walls ever so slowly. And as you're gouging the walls, you find better tools to get your way out. And then suddenly you make it through the prison wall and you're like, oh, the prison was my own mind the whole time.
But then the next one.
Oh, and you can remember it whenever you want.
Right.
And all you got to do is take the authority in your own personal preference. Come here, buddy.
So they
wake up.
There was one of them where we have to go within. It might have been you that said it, but that's where like meditation
lie inside you.
How do you find those inside of you? I would say through journaling, through
that's
meditation.
Where you go. That's where you connect to divine creator spirit. Remember how to be one again with source creation.
That's right. That's right. Those are some pretty cool rules. I like them.
Audience, dog, audience.
He's back. He likes us. He's here to be part of it. He's awakened too, right? He's a good boy.
Probably. He's one of the best dogs I've ever had. He's super gentle.
Yes, look at him. He loves you.
Yeah, and he's half chocolate lab, half pity.
Oh, it's a baby. I got to find. Well, my son he doesn't know the breed, but I know one of them's part lab too. I got to meet them. They're my grandpuppies.
Yeah, most pets will eat their owners if their owners die. Labs.
Oh my God. Oh, thank goodness.
Like cats, it's really quick. It's like within the hour.
My cat's trying to eat me while I'm alive. What are you talking
exactly.
about?
When you don't pull away, they just keep going.
He looks at me and he's like, I want to, and he's looking at my flesh. I mean, he's my best friend. He's my best cat friend in the world. And I love him. And he's a spoiled little brat. But he'll like nibble my hand and then he'll look at me like I'm his dinner. And then he'll come with his bangs and I say, yo, and I got to get a pillow and I got to chase him around. I get the pillow and I say, come on. And he runs. I never would hurt him. I won't even use the spray bottle. That's probably why he attacks me, because I'm a weenie.
Maybe. He likes a good stout pat. It's like, you're hitting him.
Oh, no, he's a big boy. All right. So we've talked about a lot of things, not just awakening, but all kinds of subjects that are going to pour into your little universe when you do awaken. And I guess we could wrap this up. Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
What is one piece of wisdom you would share with someone just starting their spiritual journey?
Don't take it all too serious. From your trauma to the answers to the dark night of the soul. You can't take any of it too seriously, because that's how you end up with your brains on the ceiling. Everything's everything once, and life is not linear how we experience it. And when you're starting out, try to wrap your head around everything. Don't worry about everything. Take a deep breath, disconnect from whatever bullshit drama is going on, and figure out your shit.
Looking back, what's the most profound lesson your path has taught you?
Lessons of giving up. Sometimes the harder you try to hold on to things, places, or people, the more of that thing, place, or person that you lose. So you kind of just got to let things rest in your palm instead of trying to grab it. It's like catching smoke. You let it come to you.
Yeah, Very good. Very good. What does spirituality mean to you in one sentence?
The connected everything to everyone and the oneness of the source creator.
Very good. Very good. If you could ask the universe one question and receive a clear answer, what would you ask? Any question, just one question.
There's too many questions. When do I get to go back? I'm just like, I want to experience a crystal where a planet where the buildings are kilometers tall and all made of crystal.
You need that big energy kick, right?
Live for 400 years.
So on that note about the crystals and how do you stay grounded and centered in the midst of life's chaos?
You mostly with a grounding meditative practice. Dark stones are pretty good for that. Like I use a piece of black tourmaline a fair bit for that purpose. And sometimes I miss and I get all pissed off over some dumb thing I saw on the internet and I write some mean comment to someone and it's like, God damn it. That's when you fail the test and you fall down into the hole and you kind of got to climb yourself out of there. Like, well, I shouldn't have said that. I was like, just delete it or.
You're still human, right? We're still human.
Everyone will fall, including yourself. Don't beat yourself.
Yeah, that's part of this little podcast, and what I hope is that we can all come here and be human on our journeys, and we do fall, and we do get off the path, and we need fellow travelers to help us.
Like-minded people.
Definitely.
The tribe.
Yes, we got to find our tribe. So, and this will be my last question on this topic. What's one mantra or affirmation or truth you live by?
I try to go by the truth of treat others as you want to be treated and let that karma work its way out. That's probably my truest one. I am full of love also helps when you're angry and ready to kill people for funsies and just get rid of them. Start repeating the mantra of I am full of love, I am full of peace, I am full of joy. Do that 10 times. By the time you get to the 7th one, you won't be angry anymore.
Good advice. Good advice. And do you have anything that we didn't cover that you would like to share with the audience?
In May, I want to say it's 17th, I'm doing a spiritual fair out in Buckfield.
Nice.
I'll be doing a table at. You should come.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link to the lady's page. She's a psychic I know out in Buckfield.
Nice.
I house sat for her back in September.
That sounds exciting, huh?
Yeah, she does it in her backyard. It's a good time. There's usually like hamburgers and hot dogs, and there's a couple of 3 or 4 psychics, and I'm usually the only Reiki guy there, but there's tarot people, there's some crystal people, a few other things.
It's
One
like
girl sells her fucking fingernails.
She sells fingernails?
Yeah, through it's like not Etsy, it's
like fingernails.
Like Mary Kay, where she gets the packets and then she sells
packs I've seen those. Sure. I've seen those.
Like
those are pretty.
Amazon.
That's cool. So it's like
she invites a whole bunch of people and 80% show up.
Nice. That's usually pretty very Maine in the backyard with the barbecue and the little psychic freaking holistic fair going on. I love this stuff. Buckfield's not far from here, I believe.
No, you're closer to Buckfield than you are to me.
Yes. This is definitely, send me that link. That's exciting. And we'll advertise for that. And maybe we can get the link and put it in the description below in case anyone from Maine or the area would like to attend this. Now, is there a cover charge for it, or?
I think it was like $35. If you don't do well, it's kind of optional. This is more for people who are just starting out and getting their toe in the water, so it's not like super busy.
Although no, I mean like for people to come in the door or anything, do they have to buy a ticket or?
I think it's usually free. It might be a small cover charge, like $5.
Yeah, it doesn't
I'm
usually
not
go higher
exactly.
than.
I don't remember exactly. I've always been on the
I
other end of it.
understand. That's exciting, though. And then we're going to see more from you on your YouTube channel, which we'll link
Yes.
below. Yes, we've talked meditations, and was it crystals you were gonna do one about, or was it
Yeah, the
crystals?
crystals I normally work with whenever I do a Reiki healing, because I specialize in Reiki and grabbing the energy weave, magnetic frequency of the planet, and giving it a really hard shake and see what rains out of it.
Yeah, I got the full treatment from you at a fair once, and it was good. You cut ties, you did the whole shebang.
Oh yeah, I think did we trade a reading and
I was your straight customer. I did it, and it was good. Absolutely, and that's a good tool for people that are waking up too, to connect with your channel.
oh yeah, when you have someone cut your energy cords around you, because every time you meet someone, every time you make love to someone, you're making an energy connection with them, and so over time you can get essentially all your energy sucked out of you like a vampire. And so cutting your
Mhm.
cords from around you helps alleviate that sucking pressure of all your energy and joy and vitality.
You're cutting your tie to that soul, your soul to that
Mhm.
soul. It's like we have so many attachments we're not even aware of.
Attachment cords,
Ugh.
even if you just hugged them once at a work meeting, you hear about girls who had to hug a guy and then they're just icked out by him every time they're anywhere near him, because
Yeah,
that energy cord's there, they can feel it.
yeah, that's another.
That's a whole nother aspect of
Oh my
life.
Lord, Randy, we could have 20,000 podcasts and go on and on and on, you
We
and I.
could, like, divine masculine
Yes,
is the protector and initiator in life, and the divine feminine is the
nurturer.
nurturing and caretaker role. And the masculine is supposed to provide an environment or a containment field, if you were, of protection, so the divine feminine feels safe enough to actually nurture. And like with our society, women are forced out into the world by themselves. So they're when you do that to the divine feminine vibration, it's generally living in a state of fear because it's not surrounded by safety like it normally should be. Does that
The
make sense?
divine,
As a guy yammering about women to a woman, does that make sense?
it does, but for other purposes. But in reality, too, the divine feminine is not always just the female women, because there are some women that can bring
Oh,
forth their
everyone has divine
masculine.
feminine aspects of
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. Like, I totally agree with all those aspects of masculinity and femininity. And like, that's where the house band, like, he holds the family together. He provides that
Mm.
ring of safety for them and
In
stuff.
an ideal situation, I'm sure there's people who are watching this who have never experienced that and who just want to burn down the patriarchy.
Yes, for
And like
sure, for sure.
we have, and many people have been traumatized by that, and just want to flip the script. So men are now suppressed and women are the ones in power. But what we really want to do, we want to fix everyone to be their positive aspects of femininity and their positive aspects of masculinity, because we haven't experienced uh, the patriarchy when it's working in the way it should be in protecting and providing for the establishment. It's always been hyper aggression and slavery and war.
I know the feminine one should feel safe. What was I going to say? The feminine energy is like, to be in your feminine energy fully, you have to let down your guards.
Mm,
You're really letting down some guards, and you're opening up to trust. And unfortunately, in today's society, there's a lot of trauma that's happened when people have allowed themselves that to express that energy. Now there's more,
mm,
I hope
on all.
there's. Yes, exactly. And I hope there's less trauma than there is healthy people, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it is hard. And I do see your point is that the masculine energy needs to provide, we need to have a safe environment where we can
Mm,
express who we truly are. And
exactly.
if we're predominantly feminine, and if we feel best presenting our feminine selves to society, to our on our journey, to whoever's there, then we should feel safe enough to be able to do that. Nobody should be dictating or making us feel like we're not allowed to express that part of ourselves. And it is
Right.
true that a lot of women who probably would be more feminine have been forced into more masculine roles in a society that's not prepared for such things.
Right. Our
So
society is massively gauged to the masculine vibration. And you see a lot of young males don't step up into the masculine role anymore. And so you see females stepping up to provide those same nurturing or protective type roles. And many of them aren't necessarily designed in their human design to do so. And in doing so, can often just drive themselves absolutely crazy.
it wears them out. And
Mm.
then where do they get the chance to get in touch with that inner soul, that inner this, you know what I'm saying?
That's
Until
one of those
something on the
magnetic soul
outside.
things. When your avatar gets tired of trying to be something it's not, it will eventually crumble, and then you'll be a wet puddle of goo and cry it out and form back together and take a step forward.
Yes, and then you'll level up, level up, level up. Then we can get into the fool's journey,
You're
and
like
then
chewing gum. The more you get chewed, and the more you chew yourself, the tougher you get.
yes. But it's a journey, and it's been great discussing the journey with you
Mm.
and hearing your different perspectives, and
It's always
just
great to hear a different perspective.
it is great, and you're very enlightened, and you're very knowledgeable on this, and wise beyond
I'm
your
mildly
years.
articulate. It helps a little.
You are.
You can tell I'm stuttering all over myself and just
Your
take the
Virgo
corner too fast in
shows.
the car and just.
But it's always fun to have a conversation with you. And they're just two people on a journey
Mm.
who hope our journey. Oh, there I go again.
Now there's one person.
It's
Hello,
gonna end with you, Randy. It's gonna end with you, my friend. But we're
right.
just two people on a spiritual journey, hoping that our journey can help others
Exactly.
on their journey. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, with that, Randy here is going to close this podcast up for us. I apologize,
No,
everyone.
no worries. I love a good spur of the moment.
We have
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully, we gave you some perspectives on your own life, how things go on. If you're new to the whole spiritual experience, no, you're not dying. You're just waking up.
And don't
And
forget to give us a like, a
yeah,
subscribe.
like, comment, and subscribe. If you think everything we've said is bullshit, go ahead and tell us down there. If you think it's great and it helps,
Yes.
tell us down there too. The more engagement we get, the better off we'll be.
That's
And with
right.
that, I thank you. You have a wonderful day or night
Bye.
or whatever you're doing.